for both countries, with talks that touched on current economic issues, economic cooperation, tourism, investment and defense. According to Zamri, the Prime Minister and Mehmet exchanged views on current economic issues and discussed the need for financial structural reforms at this time. They also looked at how bilateral trade relations could be enhanced more actively, covering various fields, including the tourism sector, which is a very significant sector for both countries. Developments concerning the conflict in Gaza were also raised in the meeting, which highlights the importance of strengthening economic cooperation among Islamic countries. Upon concluding his trip to Istanbul, Anwar is scheduled to proceed to Cairo, Egypt, to meet Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and discuss the opening of the Rafah crossing to allow the channeling of food, water and medicine to Palestine. Wisma Putra in a statement said that the working visits to Turkey and Egypt reflected Malaysia's undivided commitment towards the Palestinian issue, especially in reducing the suffering faced by Palestinians as a result of the ongoing crisis in Gaza. Meanwhile, in a press conference to the Malaysian media before leaving for Turkey, Anwar said Malaysia is aware and expects repercussions from Western countries for championing the Palestinian cause, but will continue to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people at the international stage. He said he had no choice in the matter as the Palestinian cause was a humanitarian issue, as they have continued to suffer due to the oppression and cruelty of the Zionist regime.
Keganasan berterusan atau pelanggaran ke atas Gaza itu akan memberikan kesan yang parah dari segi keselamatan rantau, akan mendorong dan memaksa penglibatan beberapa kelompok atau negara lain dan tidak akan membantu untuk meredakan ketegangan sementara.
The Prime Minister said pressure was needed to stop Israel's current actions against Gaza, and he could not set his duties as a Muslim aside where the matter was concerned. He said the pressure was required as several European countries refused to object and stated that the continued violence in Gaza needed to be stopped. Meanwhile, in Kuala Lumpur, thousands gathered at Dataran Merdeka to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. Comprising various backgrounds and religions, all those present enthusiastically displayed unwavering support for the residents of Gaza, while also expressing sympathy for the victims of Israeli aggression. The peaceful assembly, which began at 10 a.m., was also attended by people from other countries, such as Syria, Tunisia, Egypt, Spain, Libya and Pakistan. Among those who were present were Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil and PKR Vice President Nurul Izzah Anwar. More on the Israel-Hamas conflict later in the bulletin. Moving on, the National Center of Excellence for Mental Health will develop a mental health action plan for children and teenagers soon, citing the worrying trend of such cases among youngsters. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said the National Health and Morbidity Survey 2022 showed that 1 in 4 teenagers had experienced depression, 1 in 8 had suicidal thoughts, and 1 in 10 had attempted suicide.
Sebab tu kita terus melaksanakan program-program seperti ini supaya rakyat lebih tahu dan khususnya selepas daripada pandemik COVID-19 kita melihat bagaimana kesihatan mental, dan saya juga sebut tadi bagaimana kesihatan mental khususnya berkenaan dengan kanak-kanak dan juga remaja semakin meningkat. Jadi ini bagi saya sangat membimbangkan sebab kita tahulah bahawa anak-anak dan remaja ini adalah masa depan kepada Malaysia, masa depan kepada negara.
She said this when met by reporters after launching the National Mental Health Day celebration in Petaling Jaya on Sunday. Dr. Zaliha said, as per the Health Ministry statistics, there are some 424,000 children who are facing mental health problems. As such, she stated that early intervention is crucial to ensure that children do not deteriorate to a more serious state when it comes to mental health. Meanwhile, at the event, Dr. Zaliha also launched the Mental Health Psychosocial Support During a Crisis or Disaster module to train healthcare personnel to handle mental health cases. The ministry has also developed a training module on suicide prevention first-line responders for healthcare and law and order frontliners such as police, firemen, civil defense and welfare personnel to respond to attempted suicide cases. Also introduced was the My Minda feature on the My Sejahtera application, allowing users access to screening, psychoeducation resources and a psychosocial helpline. The Education Ministry will conduct an education roadshow across the country from next year to gather input for the proposed curriculum for 2027. Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq said the new elements to be explored include character education, flexibility and digital aspects.
Anjakan yang kita akan lakukan adalah melakukan jerayawara ini di seluruh negara, melibatkan pelbagai peringkat segmen komuniti yang ada, yang merupakan pemegang taruh dalam pendidikan untuk menjayakan yang kita sebut sebagai agenda pendidikan masa depan.
She said this to the media after the Institute of Teachers Education IPG convocation ceremony in Putrajaya. Fadlina said the ministry welcomes input and participation from all levels of society in the development of the new national curriculum. She said the new education development plan will focus on developing the competence of teachers and individual marketability in the field of employment at home and abroad. The issue of underemployment, otherwise known as underutilized labour, has been a cause for concern as it sees individuals with higher education qualifications working in semi-skilled or low-skilled sectors, thus leading to mismatches in the job market. Titiwangsa Member of Parliament Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani expressed concern that the situation still exists despite positive developments in unemployment rates and the job market showing signs of recovery with the number of employment opportunities increasing.
Seperti mana yang saya sebut tadi, 101.91 juta orang. Justru itu isu ketidakpadanan kerja ini harus ditangani dengan sebaiknya dan saya yakin bahawa penganjuran Karnival Aspirasi My Future Job mampu menjadi antara platform penyelesaian.
He said this during the launch of the Carnival Aspirasi My Future Jobs in Titiwangsa on Sunday. The former second finance minister stressed that employers should not hesitate to clarify details regarding job positions and the scope of employment, preferably offering permanent positions as an incentive to job seekers. Up until September 31st, the Social Security Organisation, Percaso, had organised 16 large-scale career carnivals, in addition to 3,055 medium-scale daily and special interview sessions across Malaysia. From January 2022 to September 31st this year, a total of 463,811 job seekers successfully secured employment through the My Future Jobs portal, with 61,368 of them located in Kuala Lumpur. The world never stops, and neither do the challenges faced by young adults in Malaysia. The relentless pursuit of success has at times led to overwhelming pressure, burnout, and a need for strategies to address these pressing issues. Alif Yunus reports.
In 2020, a report on the economic cost of mental disorders in Malaysia revealed a startling fact. Mental health conditions in the workplace cost the Malaysian economy an estimated 14.46 billion ringgit in 2018. This has become a matter of great concern, especially for young adults in Malaysia, who often feel the relentless pressure to keep pace with life's demands.
Well, social media is everywhere, so it's so easy to compare one another with just a flick of your phone, right? And there's also this general societal pressure that's put on to all of us, not just in Malaysia, but worldwide. We have to achieve this, do that, be rich by 40 years old, reach this growth, KPI, have a good CV, have a good job, have a good family. So all these are sort of stressors that is put on the modern 21st century human. And we think that even though these are important, there needs to be a balance. So the challenges is that all these cultural norms are still prevalent. We need to actively tell ourselves that, hey, even though this is the norm, to reach out, to do the best, but if that's taking a toll on you, it's okay to slow down, and no one's blaming you for slowing down, and that in fact is the philosophy of slow living that we want everyone, all Malaysians, to remember.
An excellent illustration of how the slow living philosophy is being put into practice in the Malaysian context can be found in the Space Out competition during the Live Love Labour Festival organised by Malaysian Philosophy Society. According to Dr. Giap, the competition challenges individuals to disconnect from the intense pace of modern life, momentarily letting go of their devices, work-related stress and daily responsibilities.
Of course, I intend to follow up whatever they are saying that. How to sustain? Of course, we have to engage more engagement going on in a different group of people lah. Now young people, youth, belia semua tu kan. So see how they perceive the new working challenge yang kita kerja lah. So I'm already dah 24 tahun kerja, dah retire, almost dah retire, dah starting something new. So okay lah, I'm taking it as a step by step lah.
I've learned immensely about myself through planning. I've learned a lot about the sorts of limits I might have for myself, what wears me out, where can I find relief when I'm extremely fatigued and I feel tired, and what are the outlets for expression and release, and that honestly has helped me a lot tremendously as well.
With the current turbulent landscape, the simple philosophy offers a gentle reminder that the art of slowing down and practicing mindfulness can be a pathway to enhance mental well-being. In a fast-paced world, the quest for mental well-being can often feel like an uphill battle. But sometimes, a slower pace can lead to a brighter outlook. Alif Yunus, TV3.
Beijing-Manila trade accusations over South China Sea clash. News from the Foreign Front when we return. Israel's overnight raids on the Gaza Strip have killed at least 55 people. It also said that more than 30 houses had been destroyed in the hours after the Zionist regime announced that it was stepping up the bombing. Meanwhile, the Zionist regime also struck a compound beneath a mosque in the occupied West Bank, killing at least 3 Palestinians and left 3 others injured. The Israeli airstrike is at least the second in recent days to hit the West Bank, where violence has surged since October 7th. Israel, however, has downplayed the attack, saying the compound beneath Al-Ansar Mosque in Jenin refugee camp belonged to operatives from Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The number of Palestinians killed has now risen to over 4,651, with more than 14,245 others left injured. Beijing and Manila traded blame on Sunday for 2 collisions between Chinese vessels and Philippine boats on a resupply mission to Filipino troops on a remote outpost in the disputed South China Sea. The incidents happened near the Spratly Islands, a hotly contested region where Beijing deploys ships to assert its claims over almost the entire sea. The Philippine government said the dangerous blocking maneuvers of a China Coast Guard vessel caused it to collide with the armed forces of the Philippines' contracted indigenous resupply boat. China, however, said the slight collision happened after the resupply boat ignored multiple warnings and deliberately passed through law enforcement. In another incident, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel escorting the routine resupply mission was bumped by what was described as a Chinese maritime militia vessel, to which China accused the boat of deliberately stirring up trouble by reversing in a premeditated manner. 6 postal workers have been killed and a further 16 injured after a missile hit a distribution center in eastern Ukraine late on Saturday night. Kharkiv's regional governor, Olesiny Hubov, said the victims all worked a private delivery company in the western suburb of Korotych. According to authorities, 22 people were inside when the suspected S-300 rocket hit the building just before 10:30 p.m. local time. Russia did not immediately comment on the missile strike, but has denied targeting civilians and civilian buildings since it launched a full-scale invasion of its neighbor last year. Shelton claims his first ATP Tour final title. Sports after this breather. Sports badminton. Finally, the long wait for a World Tour title is over for shirtless Arantxa Sowuyik. The world number 4 rose to the occasion magnificently to beat Indonesia's world number 14, Shohibul Fikri Bagas Maulana, in the men's doubles final of the Denmark Open on Sunday. The Denmark Open, a World Tour Super 750 championship, is Aaron Wuyik's first World Tour title after 6 finals, including 3 this season, with the last being the China Open in September. On to tennis, the 2023 Japan Open. American rising star Ben Shelton eased past Aslan Karatsev in Tokyo on Sunday to claim his first ATP title crown. The 21-year-old defeated his Russian opponent in straight sets 7-5, 6-1 in 1 hour and 24 minutes.
The 30-year-old Karatsev hadn't dropped a set going into the final, but Shelton played exceptionally well to take the victory in Tokyo. Shelton only turned professional in August last year, but he reached the quarterfinals of the Australian Open in January and the semi-finals of the US Open last month. Moving on to the 2023 Jiangxi Open. Katerina Siniakova saved 3 match points to set up a stunning comeback to beat fellow Czech Maria Boskova 1-6, 7-6 and 7-6 in 3 hours and 33 minutes and win the 2023 Jiangxi Open in China on Sunday. It's the 5th career title for Siniakova and 2nd of the season after winning in Hamburg in July. When Nightline returns, Penang call centre linked to vice activities in Australia busted. Welcome back. Police in Balik Pulau have arrested 11 people, including 6 women, for allegedly participating in an international online prostitution syndicate. Barat Daya District Police Chief Superintendent Kamarul Rizal Jinal said police raided the centre at a commercial premise in Bayan Baru following complaints from the public and police surveillance. He said a team of police from District and State Criminal Investigation Department conducted an operation and arrested the suspects at about 5:30 p.m. on Friday, following 2 days of investigation. Those arrested were aged 21 to 65, which include the 33-year-old mastermind who runs the calling centre and his 65-year-old mother. Kamarul said both of the suspects had 2 past criminal records related to offences under the Common Gaming Houses Act and Entertainment Enactment. The investigation found that the business premise acted as the calling centre for the syndicate to receive bookings from potential customers. The syndicate also acts as a middleman for their customers by using websites to promote and advertise prostitution activities in Australia. He said customers who have agreed with the services will make payment straight to the prostitute, and the syndicate will get a commission from their counterpart in Australia. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for prostitution.
Paper folding has long been an enjoyable pastime in Malaysia, with school children, for example, creating paper aeroplanes or boats. However, one man is determined to elevate origami to an international level and even make Malaysia synonymous with this art form. FMT's Noel Wong and Tivia Ragu have the story.
Meet Kenneth Chung, a Malaysian origami master. Internationally recognized and award-winning, Chung is your go-to guide to learn all the ways you can fold a piece of paper.
At the beginning of my earlier childhood, it was just as a hobby. But as I grown into adulthood, I started to discover that origami is actually much more than meets the eye.
Funnily enough, Chung's first exposure to the art was during the Chinese Hungry Ghost Festival, when his mother taught him how to fold paper offerings. Despite his interest at a young age, Chung went on to work in the semiconductor industry. However, a fateful event would eventually turn him back to his true passion.
The earthquake back in 2011 in Japan actually triggered the whole thing. So I came very close to this life and death situation, the ordeal, together with my family, and that made me think very seriously, what I really want to do in life.
Chung decided to leave the lucrative industry behind to pursue the art of paper folding. He has since taken steps towards creating a unique Malaysian origami culture by coming up with designs exclusive to this country, such as the Wow Bulan and Durian, created with fellow artist Sam Yap. The origami durian has a whopping 576 spikes folded from a single piece of paper with no cuts made.
The origami durian has become a diplomatic art piece because we have presented it to ambassador to Japan before, and ever since it has been treated as an iconic Malaysian representation of the origami, the highest level of achievement.
Chung also wants to raise awareness on the boundless potential of origami.
Talking to a general Malaysian, they would regard origami as a child's play, or perhaps hobby and craft at most.
He hopes to elevate origami into something greater and to someday make it yet another discipline for which Malaysia can be globally recognized. To that end, Chung welcomes all students, young or old, and even the disabled, to partake in this highly accessible art form.
Origami is actually very inclusive, and it's just the techniques of folding a paper. So I think it's very suitable for all walks of life. There is no prerequisite. Just about anybody can fold.
Tivia Ragu and Noel Wong, FMT Lifestyle for Nightline.
Nightline draws to a close this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at Spain's most unique local festivals, where thousands of sheep are herded through the traditional routes in central Madrid on Sunday to herd their livestock and heading to southerly pastures for the winter. With that, I'm Hassanel. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.